beets as I am, because they truly are a superstar of the superfoods. But I want to show you just a couple of details about it, and then I'm going to show you how simple it is to pickle them and get a really wonderful result. First of all, there are two different kinds of seeds that you'll notice in the seed store. One is called a Detroit Tall, and that's what this looks like when it's grown. This is a Detroit Tall. And then the regular ones that are just marked Detroit Red, I think is the way they're labeled, they have a much smaller leaf bunch. And this grows a bigger beet, much bigger greenery. This one is probably not as old. It was probably planted a little bit later also. But this is the difference. You want to plant the tall so that you get all of these wonderful greens that are a superfood in their own right. They have a texture similar to spinach, and they also have a nutrient profile that's similar to spinach, but even superior. And they also are fine as salad greens, and you can blanch them and freeze them and have them in the wintertime. So, but to get the beets ready to pickle, we're just going to pickle the beet root. And you want to leave a couple of inches of that stalk on the beet so that you don't cut into the root, because you don't want that bright red juice that is so nutritious to leach into the cooking water, because you're going to cook these beets before you start the pickling process. So a quick scrub, just get all the dirt off of each one, and then toss them whole into the pressure cooker or into a pot that has a couple inches of boiling water. Once they're all scrubbed, drop them into the pot. There's no reason to peel them because you're going to have a super easy time peeling them once they are cooked. While the beets are cooking, you want to make your brine, and you do that by putting 1 cup of water, 2 cups of apple cider vinegar, 1 teaspoon of salt, and 1 cup of sugar. And then I threw in a couple of pieces of cinnamon stick just to spice up the recipe a little bit, make it a little bit extra special, but you can leave that out if you like things plain. 10 minutes in the electric pressure cooker at 10 pounds of pressure was just right. These are all cooked, including the big ones, but I'm going to let them cool a little bit because I want to be able to handle them. While the beets were cooking and cooling, I blanched the greens and got them ready to, they're drying right now from being cooked, and I'm gonna, once they're completely cool and dry, I will take them in and put them into baggies and store them in the freezer. You can see that these beets, once they are cooked, they can just slip right out of their skins. They don't even really need a paring knife, maybe a little bit where there's a little bit of a bump or a blemish, but the peels just slip right off. There's no reason to peel them beforehand when it's so easy after they're cooked. I cut these bigger ones in half and then cut them about 1/4 of an inch wide, and then I'm going to cut this one into quarters just because I want it to go into this little jar neatly. I'll do the same over here. And once you have them in your jars, you put the brine in, and the brine should be boiling hot. I'm going to have a little bit left over, so I'm going to eat that as soon as I'm done with the video. Pour in the brine. And then stick your knife down the edge of the jar just to make sure that all the bubbles are released. Push the food kind of down in, the beets kind of down into the brine. Make sure that there are no bubbles. Then take a paper towel or a clean cloth, wipe the rim of the beet jar really nicely so that there's nothing on that rim that might interfere with the sealing of the lid. And you pop the lid on. You are going to tighten it just so that it is giving you a little bit of resistance. You're not going to crank it down hard. You're going to just Now it's catching just a little bit more than that. Now these have hot liquid in them, so they should be fine to go right into the pot. They're all nice and clean. I'm going to put them into this stovetop pressure cooker. This will hold 5 jars. I only have 4 ready to go in. I've got about 1 inch of water. The rack is in here so that you always want to put the rack when you're pressure canning. So I'll just pop these in. Make sure their lids are just the right degree of tightness. Not too tight, but not too loose. And then you pop on the lid. The water that is in the pressure cooker is hot. This is a 15-pound weight, and so I'm going to just process it for 10 minutes on 15 pounds of pressure, and then I will let it cool in the pot, and they will be very well sealed, very safe to store on the shelf. So the canner processed for 10 minutes on 15 pounds of pressure, and I waited until the pressure was completely out of it before I opened it. And now I'm going to see what we've got going on with these jars. I'm going to use a jar lifter, even though they aren't terribly hot anymore because I waited quite a while. Dump the water off the top of the lid. I just love the way beets look in the jar. They're just so pretty. And I absolutely love pickled beets. I love them on salads, but I love them plain as well. So there they are. They're already sealed. All 4 of them are sealed already. So that's good news. I'm going to wait at least 2 weeks before I open these to because they need to pickle. They need to be completely infused with the vinegar to be pickled. But because there's such a good seal in there, you can see that this is actually boiling in there because it's so close to having a vacuum. That when you have a vacuum, the boiling point drops and drops and drops the closer you get to a perfect vacuum. And so this is this is just warm, but it's still boiling on the inside. So that tells me I've got a very good seal in there. Anyway, they're going to be delicious. Thanks for watching.